Welcome to another web development tutorial here on this channel. So if you remember the first video on this channel, I laid out what I wanted to do in the first project. So I wanted to use Gulp and Nunjucks to set up a template-based build system for my homepage to be able to make easier and quicker changes. Now in the previous videos, this is what I've done. So we now have Gulp and Nunjucks set up, all's working. And the next step, or the first task I wanted to do afterwards was to use minification and concatenation for my CSS files and also for my JavaScript files. Now the reason to do this is that if you have many individual assets, for example many CSS files or many JavaScript files on your HTML page, loading those takes more time than if you had single or very few of those. And for this you can use concatenation. For example, all the CSS files I have will be concatenated into a single CSS file. So just one request is needed to download it. And then I use minification to make this asset smaller. And the same is done for JavaScript. Now let's have a look how to do this with Gulp. So the plugins I want to use are, for one, this Gulp Concat plugin, which is used to, as the name suggests, concatenate files. And then also this Gulp Clean Css, which I use to minify the CSS. For the JavaScript, I don't need to minify anything because the scripts I want to concatenate are already minified. So let's now have a look how we're gonna start here. First, as usual, we install both those plugins. So npm install save dev and Gulp Concat and Gulp Clean CSS, and let's install it. Now let's import both at the top here. So const concat and then clean CSS. And I have to make sure to call it correctly because it's Gulp Concat and Gulp Clean CSS. So with this now done, next thing I define a task and we'll first start with handling the CSS. And let's have a look at what we actually want to do here. So I've already created a styles folder in which I have all the CSS files. And normally in my original page, I had just two CSS files. So general and the main CSS file. But now here I've taken the liberty to split it even further and also keep the naming similar to the parts. So for example, if we look down here in the templates, you remember the parts, and there we have, for example, the footer part. And now there's also a footer CSS. We have the navigation part, and the CSS which is used I now find here in the navigation CSS. And then there's the header and so on. So by splitting the CSS into multiple files, it's now easy for me to find something when I want to make changes. For example, here the services is something special for my service pages. I have social media links. So that's now very easy to change. And what I now need to do is concatenate those and also minify them. So let's create a task down here, and I call this task Clean CSS or create Clean CSS. And it's a function which, as usual, creates a node stream. And the source this time is the styles folder, which I just showed you. So source styles, and then all the CSS files included in it. But also I have some more styles which are in the scripts folder. So up here I already have created a folder which contains the scripts. And for example, the gallery also has some CSS files. And also here this contact has also some CSS files here. So I also want to include those, but that's another folder. And I could now start the glob down at the source, or what I can also do, I can provide an array of globs. And that's what I'm gonna do here to make it a bit more specific. So I have two globs, source scripts, and then the typical glob to go recursively through all the folders in scripts and look for the CSS files. And that's just something I wanted to show you. So sometimes you might want to provide an array of globs, and this is also possible. Now, as usual, we also have a destination And now in between the source and the destination, we will do the concatenation and also the minification. And I'll start by first concatenating everything. So let's do another pipe here. And in this pipe, I call concat. And I call this with a target file name, which is just styles CSS for me. And I make sure that in the templates, in the header part, I'll then also include this one. And also here the destination, it will not be just dist, it will be dist styles, so a subfolder in dist. Now this will concatenate all the CSS files, and let's just have a look what happens if I run Gulp now. But as usual, before I can do it, I also need to include this task down here in the default task. So let's just add it as another parallel task to be executed when I now run Gulp. And now let's check what we have here, the styles. So we now have all the styles concatenated. It's a really long file and yeah, not ideally to be served over the web. We now want to make it a little smaller by minifying it. And this is the next step, the next pipe. So let's go to the Gulp file again and now call pipe. And let's have a look how I called it up here. Clean Css. And let's quickly head over to the NPM page, to the documentation, and check what options we have here. So what you can pass, for example, you can pass a compatibility, which is basically providing a set of options to Clean CSS, so the way it's minified and to stay compatible with at least Internet Explorer 8. So I'll also just do that. And you can check there are certain other options which you can use, and you can also go very detailed and provide specific settings for different things like how colors are formatted or minified, how variables are treated and stuff like that. Let's provide the options here and now run Gulp again and have another look at the styles. And now you see they are very compact, minified, and this is now ready to go on my homepage. Now it's time to deal with the JavaScript. So let's have a look what I've set up here. So I have the scripts folder and there's already a base folder. And in it I have jQuery and the cookie consent bar, which I basically use on each page. So the consent bar uses jQuery, so those two are included on every page. And I want to concatenate those. Then I have this contact, which is only used in the contact page. And there are also two scripts, so this jQuery validate and the contact. Those I also want to concatenate, and that's also then a separate script and only loaded on this contact page. So I don't want to concatenate all of them. I still want to have individual scripts, but not 4 scripts, 2 scripts here. Down here I have the gallery, which I'll just copy. So this will be imported whenever I want to use the gallery, and this is also not on every page. So to sum it all up, it's a little different to what I did with the styles, where I just put all the styles together. Here for the scripts, I leave a little distinction with having a base script, a contact script, and a gallery script. Now let's define another task, and I'll just copy this task to get a quicker start here. I call this create base scripts or base script, and I don't need to do this clean here. I just want to concatenate because the scripts I have here are already minified. I have to change the folder. So source, scripts, base, then also the glob for the subfolders, and then JS. So let's see what happens when I now run it. But first, as usual, provide this task down here and also change the output folder to scripts. And the name here for the concatenated file also to base.js. Now we run Gulp and have a look at the scripts. So here's the base script, and there's a lot of minified code. It's all jQuery, and then down here the cookie message. And now I want to show you an important thing, what can happen. So let's just run it again. Now again, have a look at the base. It's still looking the same as before. Run it again. And now if we look at the file, suddenly the cookie message is at the top and jQuery at the bottom. Now it seems the order in which those scripts or this glob was processed is not constant. And this is a problem for JavaScript because this cookie message depends on jQuery. So jQuery should always be on top. What you can try to do is, let's get back to the Gulp file. We could again use this trick here with the array, where we provide a set of globs and we just make it specific. So the first one, the first glob, will be the jQuery, and the second one will be the consent bar. Now let's try it again. So the order is now correct again, and from my tests it will also stay that way. So if you provide an array here, the order of those individual globs will stay constant, while if you provide a glob where you have a set of files, the order might be a little different. So that's important if order is important for you. Now I'll quickly add the other concatenate task and also the copy task for the MeBrite gallery. Quickly run Gulp again. Now let's have a look at the scripts, which now contains the base and the contact.js, and also here the gallery with the gallery.js. Now I want to finish this video by showing you how those scripts are now included. Let's go to the templates, and there you see the layouts, and in the content layout here you see I always include the styles CSS and also the base JS script. So those are always included. And then we have this gallery layout, or let's look at the slideshow content layout, which also includes the gallery script, and this is done here in this macro. So let's go to the macros, gallery, and down here we have the script slideshow, and there, if I don't set this omit script include to true, then here the gallery is included. And then we can also look here at the pages, at the contact HTML, and there you see up here in the scripts I include this contact.js script, which we just created. So now this page is starting to look quite good. So we have now the templates with nunjucks, we have concatenation and minification, and it's now all easy to change. The goal I had when I started. What I also have now is on my GitHub, I created a homepage template, which basically includes all what I've showed you in the previous videos. So the complete template, and it's made very flexible. So you have here the package JSONs, which allow you to just run npm install to get all the dependencies, and then in source you have an htaccess, even some example pages. We have the page data, which you would obviously change to suit your needs. We have some scripts, so I included the gallery, the contact, and the base already. And also down here we have two variants. And let's quickly go into the variant base, which contains the images, the styles, and the templates, as well as a config. And I'll have a separate video where I explain what the variants are, a little more detailed. But for now, you can have a look yourself at this homepage template, maybe play around with it and see if it works for you. Just one quick information here, the scripts, the base, if you go to the jQuery, you actually have to provide it yourself, because I didn't include it, so just download the latest minified version. And the same here for the contact jQuery validate. So those will later be handled automatically, I think, but for now just download whatever version you need and include it there before you run Gulp. Okay, that's it for the video. I hope you liked it. Leave comments if you have questions or suggestions, and yeah, also what you want to learn in the future. I think there will be a few more videos on web development. Also, I have a separate homepage to my photo homepage, so basically some kind of landing page which I want to design, so maybe this will be part of the upcoming videos. Also, what I lined out in the beginning, I wanted to include a bit more schema.org and also open graph into the homepage. Now, basically using what I've set up now, this template system, to improve the homepage, change the header, change the navbar. So those will certainly be topics now.